TRF Tuesday, 30 Mind Body Minutes. This is the Trauma Research Foundation's weekly mini workshop series from bright and diverse voices in body-centered practice. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. It tells them this content is valuable and they'll show it to more people. The following session is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have concerns about your health, always consult your physician. We are very happy to have you at Sound Passage. Use your voice to find your voice. This is session 4 of 4, entitled Safe Sound Release. And please feel free to drop your questions and comments in the chat box. We will try to get to them at the end of the session. But now it's my great pleasure to introduce our wonderful presenter. Kelly Vogel is a singer, songwriter, and pianist who created Sound Passage. That's a practice that uses the voice and vagus nerve as a vehicle for embodied self-exploration, growth, and self-regulation to find calm. Kelly is a faculty member at Smith College and has been a higher ed educator for over 20 years with a master's degree in literature. She's pursuing a doctorate in education, exploring how trauma-informed pedagogy in higher ed can integrate vocal practices for greater effectiveness and equity. Kelly lives in East Hampton, Massachusetts with her husband, daughter, and dog, and is frequently found humming and singing in the woods near her home. Kelly, we're so happy to have you. Thanks so much. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone at the Trauma Research Foundation. This has been such a pleasure to be here for these 4 weeks. This is my last of 4, and it's really been an honor. I do like to add a few words at the beginning of the session just to tell you 1 or 2 things more about Sound Passage. It is a wellness practice that uses the voice to help you regulate and find calm. It does this by activating the vagus nerve, which connects, among other aspects of the body, to the larynx, your voice box, the middle ear, the chest, the lungs, and the gut. And when we hum and make other gentle sounds in a sound passage practice, we calm and soothe the vagus nerve, which creates a positive state of relaxation and social engagement. And that is because it is part of the social engagement system, which I can say a little bit more about later. But we will start with a moment of grounding. So I invite you to find a comfortable place to sit, or you can lay down. I welcome that as well. Whatever is comfortable for you right now is great. And just be aware of your spine, just kind of being aware of it in space, and feel your sits bones on the seat. If you are seated, feel gravity underneath you, wherever you are, however you are. I am closing my eyes, as you can see. Feel free to close your eyes, but if you're more comfortable with your eyes being open, please feel free to have them open or half-mast. And then just feel gravity holding you in place. Feel your body's contact with the floor or the chair. Take in a nice deep breath in through the nose. And in this practice, I invite you to exhale through the mouth, which I know is not the same in all practices. Again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. No sound is necessary here unless that feels comfortable and good to you. And just take a moment to listen for any sounds that are in the distance, maybe outside of the immediate room or space where you are. Man-made, human, natural sounds. What sounds are you hearing? Just take in all of those sounds, being aware of this vast space that you inhabit. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then come a little closer in your scope of awareness to sounds that might be a little bit closer, maybe in the building, in the house, in the room where you are. What sounds do you notice? What are you hearing? Continuing again to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then coming in much closer to your own body and reflecting on the sounds of yourself or any sounds just immediately around you. Maybe there's a chair squeaking underneath. Is there a yoga mat underneath you? Are you hearing your own breath? Are you hearing your inhale and your exhale? What sounds are just there right with you? And just reflect on the sounds you make as being part of a much larger ecosystem of sound. You are part of this larger ecosystem, and every sound that you make is a contribution to this system. And take a moment just to appreciate yourself for being here today, for making any and all sounds that you make now and throughout this practice and beyond. And feel free to open your eyes when you feel ready. And I invite you now to put your hand on your chest. And just take a nice deep breath again in through the nose. And feel your chest rise a little bit and fall. Just taking a nice exhale again through the mouth. In through the nose, feeling the chest rise a little bit. Exhaling, feeling the chest fall. Do that one or two more times. And now we're going to move to deepen our breath a little bit. So I invite you to keep your hand here, actually. I'm going to scoot back a little bit and then put one hand on your rib cage. And this hand on your chest, this contact that you're making with yourself can represent safe, warm contact that is available to you. So keeping that hand on the chest. Now we're breathing into the chest and sending a little bit of breath down into the ribs. See if you can expand the ribs a little bit. And exhale through the mouth. Maybe adding in a gentle bit of sound here. Sometimes it's easier to expand the sound and lengthen the sound when we make a little bit of noise, a little bit of sound. Sorry, expand the exhale when we make a little bit of sound. Breathing in through the nose, feeling that Chest and rib cage expand. And exhaling, a gentle sound if that's comfortable. Do it one more, and I invite you to make the sound on ha as you exhale. Breathing in again. Exhaling on ha. And as we make these sounds, just remember there's no need to push or force the breath or the sound. It should feel as natural as it needs to be. Now I'm going to invite you to put your hand on your belly, keeping your hand on your chest. If your arm is getting a little tired, feel free to switch. My arm was getting a little tired. And now imagine that there is a balloon in your belly. And see if you can expand the sound, not the sound, the breath into the belly. Keeping in mind this is a practice. So we breathe into the chest, ribs, and belly. See if you can expand that. And exhale on ha. Again, it's a practice. There's no need to force. So if your breath really just comes into the chest, that is just fine. This is all a practice. Breathing in through the nose. Exhaling on ha. One more time, just seeing if you can feel the chest and or the ribs and or the belly expand. Exhaling again. Ha. Do one or two more on your own. I invite you to bring your hand closer to your face. And I invite you to inhale and exhale again, making an audible ha, but have the hands cupped just a little bit so you can hear the sound vibrating back towards you. So again, in through the nose, feeling the belly and the breath expanding, and exhaling ha right into your hands. And see if you can experiment a little bit with how the sound, how your voice sounds while maybe moving your hands a little bit. So breathing in through the nose and then ha. Practice that for a moment. Just notice how it feels to hear your voice close versus far, and maybe close again. Ah. And now just whisper your name to yourself with your hands a little bit closer. Oh. What does it feel like to have your name whispered to you by you? Can you whisper your name with kindness? What does it feel like to have your nervous system being echoed back to you? That might sound strange, but our voices carry a lot of information about our nervous system. So, how does that feel? Do one more on your own. And just provide some of that nourishing kindness right back to you. And as you know, this session is called safe sound release. So we're going to come to standing and practice that a little bit more. I'm going to expand my screen here. And so we're going to practice a little bit. If it doesn't feel comfortable to stand, or if you're laying down, I'll give some other options for you. But I invite you to do that same experience now that you're standing. Bring your hands to your face. Whisper something sweet to yourself. And then move your hands away. I invite you just to kind of bounce really gently here. And the reason why I call this safe sound release is because sometimes we're carrying quite a lot of energy and we really need to release it, and we don't always have the tools to release that energy that needs to be released. And this can be a joyful experience. This can be a cathartic experience. It can be any number of experiences. But I invite you just to bounce ever so slightly. And again, if you're seated, you might just sway back and forth. If you're laying down, you might want to have your knees bent and you can just sway them back and forth. The key is to bring in a little bit of movement here. And we're going to bring in that same exhale, continuing to be aware of the breath coming in through the nose, into the chest, ribs, and belly. If it helps, you can put your hands on your ribs or your belly. And exhale with this nice gentle bounce. Just let it be a sigh. Maybe you're greeting the day if you're in Australia. Maybe you're at the end of the day if you're in Europe. Maybe it's the middle of the day or the end of your workday here in the States. No matter where you are, no matter what your time zone, just let this feel loose. And just see if you can just release that energy just a little bit. A lot of somatic practitioners recommend a little bit of shaking the limbs, just a little bit, just to release anything that you just don't need. That's really what we're doing here. We're just releasing, shaking off anything, and bringing in that sound to give our internal system, our vagus nerve, a little massage. And if it feels comfortable, you might want to shake a little more. And just start to make some more sound there if it feels good. And again, if you're seated in a chair, maybe you're just swaying back and forth. Ah, ah. Or if you're standing, you can just continue bouncing. Feel free just walking around too. Maybe you can walk around your space. Ah. And I invite you to invite your childlike sense into the room. If that feels good. Our inner children sometimes felt nervous and scared, and maybe that doesn't feel good. But if it doesn't feel good, I invite you to put your hand on your chest and comfort that child that needed a little bit of love, maybe in a playful space. Just walk around loosely. Does it feel good to just loosen up your arms a little bit? Maybe wake up the body a little. And you'll probably notice that as you start to make sound, the sound itself will start to move and vibrate. You move your shoulders a little bit. Something that happens in sound passage sometimes is a yawn. The yawn can be this wonderful release. It's our way actually of the body bringing in more oxygen. It's a very, very natural experience. It's also a sound release if it's, it can be. Sometimes a yawn is quiet, especially if you're needing to keep it quiet. Ah, so just move around your room. Ah. And here I invite you to do a little bit of tapping on your chest too, just a gentle tapping to awaken the vibrations in the body. This is another somatic tool that can be done with or without sound and can still bring in some nice resonance and vibration. You can hear my voice kind of vibrating here. If you're familiar with Bobby McFerrin's music, you know that he does a lot with the body to make sound. He very much uses his body as an instrument. Feel free to explore that. I'm going to be quiet for a moment and let you just explore any number of these things. Maybe you're bouncing. Just continue to keep your breath coming in through the nose, filling up the body. You can try just humming here. If you need a bigger release, if you got some big stuff going on, you can just, if it's comfortable, maybe you can shake that off. Maybe just like shake off anything you don't need. This is the kind of stuff a lot of kids do very naturally, but as adults, we don't really get the opportunity to wiggle and move our bodies. So we end up pretty still a lot of the day, many days. Just let yourself wiggle, get rid of any energy, or again, this might be a nice way to wake up the body. But you don't want to force or push any of these movements either. And of course, I notice we're close to time. So I invite you to come back to the mat or just back to your original place. And if you're like me, you're starting to feel pretty warm. I invite you to bring your hand to your chest again. Continuing that exhale. Maybe you're feeling some resonance in your chest. I am because I'm talking, but hopefully you're making some sound. Not hopefully, but hopefully you're becoming aware of your resonance. And whatever sound you are or are not making is a-okay. Alicia loves to call this the heart hug. Alicia Sky, of course, of the TRF. And the Turkish poet Nazim Hikmet, I hope I'm saying that right, calls your heart the jewel on the left side of your chest. And we put both hands here. Take some nice deep breaths. And I'm coming right back to where I started here. And I'll just take a moment to soak up any energy that you feel. Take a nice deep breath. I welcome any comments that you have, any questions. Bob says, should see the strange looks my dog is giving me. Yes.
Kelly, I loved all the I stood and I loved all the bouncing around.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
That for me, that was a wake up to the body, sitting at my computer all day long. That was really great.
Good. Yeah, I'm so glad. I do this a lot. It feels really
Yeah.
good for me. And I'm with you, Bob. Sometimes my dog is like, "What is going on?"
Can you can you tell us what the takeaway from today's session is? Maybe you could
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, I wanted to acknowledge Janelle, who says, I consider myself shaken and awaken. Woohoo, another brilliant start to the day. So that's lovely. Yeah. It's really just about getting in touch with the body.
Mm.
It's really about, the sounds are coming back to the vagus nerve and the social engagement system, but we store so much energy in our bodies and we don't move very often. And so these are some, the chest beating is like a qigong tool. The shaking is another somatic experience. So I'm actually just bringing some sound to some tools that are well known as ways to release energy and to just kind of stir things up when we just need to to shake off that extra energy. So it's not there's
Perfect.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Um I see Jennifer said I really like listening to my own sounds and voice in my hand close to my face and moving away from my face. Yeah, that's really nice. Oddly satisfying. I mean it's an opportunity to get closer to your nervous system in this way that I was sort of mentioning before. And I've talked, on a TRF Tuesday about the voice being a social engagement tool. It activates the social engagement system. And so in this way, we're actually getting closer with our own nervous system. So it's like bringing it back to us. Um,
Yeah,
so
it is a very interesting experience.
yeah.
Uh, we're just wrapping up. Does anyone have any last comments or questions? They always come in as I start to close up, but Bob is saying that wasn't fun and informative. Kelly, thanks so much for the series.
Thanks for being here, Bob. It's wonderful to have you. Yeah, and I invite you to do, a little bit of shaking and moving, a little bit of the chest stuff. Um, and it's funny, Bob is mentioning the dog. We get permission to talk to our animals and also to babies and children with a lot of really playful sounds. And we don't necessarily do that with other adults. So
Yeah.
actually talking to your pet is a really playful and way to engage with the voice. Lori says feeling more relaxed. Thank you. I'm so glad. So
Yeah.
glad.
Thank you, Simona. Thank you, Rob, for your gratitude.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's
Janelle,
been such a pleasure to be here with TRF with you, Mary. You've hosted all four. It's been so wonderful. I've really enjoyed my
Kelly,
time.
thank you. This has been a really great series.
Oh,
You've
good.
taught us simple but also fun techniques to connect to ourselves, to get grounded, and to find calmness and energy. So thank you so much for creating Sound Passage and thanks for sharing it with us. We've really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thanks.
should I should say too that I've created this as a practice to share, but it's of course tapping into ancient practices that are used across all like many other kinds of practices. So I've synthesized it with sound, but it's old. So it's as old as humans and it's new in its own way. So
Well, we appreciate that. We need
yeah,
it. Thanks
thank
to our
you.
audience, TRF Tuesday strives to offer you a variety of body based approaches that can assist in a trauma healing journey. We're happy you're here. You can find Kelly's full series and all of the past TRF Tuesday series in the TRF Tuesday Library, Somatic Resources. It's under the Resources tab on the TRF website. Please consider sharing your feedback about this series with us through the feedback form. We love to hear your thoughts. And working to bring you this program behind the scenes are TRF team members Pat Murray, Star Muhammad, and Connor McCann. I'm Mary Frangie. We're so happy to see you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.